In the marketplace today, known beats best. What do I mean by that? Well, if you think about it, you buy from people that you know, right? People that you recognize, people that you see over and over again, even if they're not necessarily the best. One of the common mistakes that people make when they have lots of experience, lots of expertise, is they are not recognized and they are not known the way they could be. And that's what this episode is all about. Hi, I'm Ann Carden. And in case you don't know me, I'm a business consultant and a CEO of the marketing and media agency Expert in You. And today I want to really dive into how experts and people with a lot of brilliance and skills and knowledge and experience get passed over in their market, or worse, they compete with amateurs when they're truly experts. So, this episode is about known beats best. Let's dive in. It's unfortunate that you can be the best at what you do in your market, in your niche, in your local area. But if you are not recognized that way, if people don't see you that way, you will often compete on price. You will get passed over in business. And it's not really fair, is it? But it happens. So I want to talk to you about how much you show up with influence online. Because in the marketplace today, we are influenced by what we see online. I'm sure you would agree with that. Before you go out and buy something or you want to know more about somebody, what do? You get out online and you see what you can find, right? And so if you're not established online in the right strategic way so that you look as good on the outside as you actually are on the inside, you're going to secretly miss business. Almost all of the clients that I work with come to me. They're amazing at what they do. They do not lack for skills. They know what they're doing. They get clients great results. They deliver great services, but they get passed over because they're not seen that way on the outside. So we call this positioning in the market. And if your positioning is not strong, well, then it's weak, right? And that's not going to be good for business. So if you're really trying to explode your revenue growth, don't miss this opportunity. Now, I want to talk about some common mistakes that people make in the market. That is, maybe they hire a social media agency to do their posting and create their graphics and do all of those things. And I'm not saying that there are not some good agencies out there, but here's the real test. Is it turning into business? Because at the end of the day, it should all be driving your revenue. So if everything that you're doing in your marketing is not really driving your revenue and you're not seeing that growth the way you want, you probably have some missing pieces and some gaps. And that's specifically what I want to talk about today. Now, recently, I wrote my new book, Be the One They Choose: The New Rules for Standing Out and Winning More Business. And if you would like to go get this, you can get this on Amazon. And I'm going to actually talk about some of the things that I wrote about in this book. And I'm even going to give you a framework for how you can stand out in your market, be the one they choose, and win more business. Because at the end of the day, isn't that why we're doing what we're doing? Isn't that why we show up online? Of course, I want to put value out there, right, with my content. But I'm not doing this just for that reason. I'm doing this because it grows my business. It's a strategy I also teach my clients: guesting on podcasts, writing content, posting. All of those things grow my business. Speaking on stages, speaking to other people's audiences. All of those things grow my business. Because if you don't have a clear strategic approach to what you're doing and it's not working to generate revenue, well, you're just unfortunately noise in the market. And we know it is a crowded market, right? So, how do you rise above the noise? Well, it goes back to what I originally said: known beats best. You have to stand out. I like to say you have to stand out as the rock star expert that you truly are. In fact, I just recently created a program around this, but you want to stand out as the rock star in your industry, in your niche, almost like a celebrity or famous. Now, I know that might seem self serving, that might sound like, oh, wow, like we really want to see you all over the place. But let's think about this for a moment. If you think about the people that you admire, the brands you admire, the personal brands that you admire, the people you follow, the people that inspire you, what is the one thing that they all have in common? They are well known, right? They are in the spotlight. They're in the spotlight as the expert. They're visible in the right places, or they're visible everywhere. Once you build it up, you can be visible everywhere. But when you first start doing this, you have to be visible in the right places to the right people. But here are some common mistakes that people make when they start to build online. Maybe you've even been online for a long time and you have put out a lot of content, or again, you maybe have an agency posting for your business or posting for your company, but you're not really noticing that it's turning into a whole lot of business. I hear a lot of people say social media doesn't work. Well, yes, it does, because I've been building my business on social media for 15 years and we help other people do the same thing. So, yes, it does work. But the one thing that you have to have is a very strategic approach to what you're doing, or it again becomes a lot of work, a lot of effort, maybe even a lot of money, and ultimately a lot of noise in the market. So let's think about what a strategic approach is. It is where you know exactly who you want to get in front of, who you want to be visible to. This is really dialed in your business, because if you don't have this part figured out, then nothing else is really going to work. So this is the foundation for what you want to be known for. To whom do you want to be known? And so the second piece of that is, what do you want to be known for? And then how are you different in your market? What makes you different? And I want to caution you that it's not about we've been in business for 100 years. Now, there's credibility in that, don't get me wrong, but that isn't why somebody's going to buy from you. Why is someone going to buy from you? People only buy for two reasons. They have a want or they have a need. That's it. So if you can't understand your market enough to know what their want is or what their need is, then you can't create a marketing strategy that's going to impact the market. Now, another mistake I see people make is they have an incohesive brand. So everything looks very piecemeal together. It's almost like a shotgun blast, right? Like they're in lots of places, but you don't see the same thing. You don't see the same colors. You don't see the same fonts. It's very confusing as to what they really do. And a confused mind does not buy. So the importance of having not just a beautiful brand, a standout brand, but having a cohesive brand, well, that's actually just as important as having a beautiful brand. And it's, again, a missing piece for a lot of people. If I go look at you on Instagram, for example, am I going to see something completely different than if I find you on YouTube or I go to your website? So you want to really show up for how you want to be known and how you want to be seen. And I call this expert positioning. This is where you genuinely look like the only one, the obvious choice, and the expert in your market, the person that people should buy for, the business or the company that people should buy for. Now, beyond that, once you get those things dialed in, everything from your message to your brand, to your colors, to your fonts, to who your target market is and what you actually do in your business, what you're known for, once you dial those things in, now, how can you actually explode into your market and build trust? Because this is the next piece. See, visibility is great, but if people don't trust you, then they're still not going to buy from you, right? And so part of building that strong positioning and that expert brand is you want to build trust into your brand. Now, depending on the type of business you are, there are multiple ways to do this. For example, if you are a construction company, having Google reviews is a huge way to build trust. But even beyond that, you should still be building trust into your social media, into your content, all of those things. But think about how clients or customers make a decision before they buy. So as a construction business, people will want to know that, hey, you're going to show up, you're going to do the job, you're going to get the job done right, you're not going to rip off their money, right? There are all these things. And so what are they going to do? They're going to go and search for reviews and things like that that show that not only you're credible in what you do, but they want to have the feeling they can trust that you are the business that they should hire, the company they should hire. Now, if you're someone like me, where you're in a marketing agency or a consultant, it's important that I have a personal brand. People buy from me, right? I'm helping my clients in their businesses, and so I am a big part of my business. And even if I bring in employees that work under me, people will want to know that they can trust my company. But people are going to look at a marketing agency, for example, online. They're going to go to my website. They're going to look at testimonials. They're going to look at content on social media platforms. They're going to Google me. They're going to do their research, looking at maybe YouTube and LinkedIn and all of these different places. They're going to see what I've done in my business that would make me credible. They're going to want to see testimonials. So those need to be built into my website. And what have I actually done that's impressive? Those things should all be built into my content, into my website, into my social platforms. And so like media appearances, I have a magazine, I've written 4 books, I've built 7 businesses and sold 5 of those. All of those things need to show up in all of my content and everything that people can find about me, because that is going to build credibility and trust. Now, do you agree with this? Does this all make sense? Because you do these things, right? Am I right about this? You do these things. You look for these same things with people. So visibility, obviously, with the right brand, the right cohesive brand, the right message, the right positioning, and then building trust into that positioning. And then also you have to be able to grab attention. And this is really where high visibility and lead generation come from. You not only need to do all of these things, but now how do you go and get clients, or how do you attract those clients to you? One of the mistakes I see people make is they post a lot of content and they do a lot of things online, but they're not really attracting business. They might be getting engagement. And I want to speak about this because engagement cannot be taken to the bank unless engagement turns into revenue. And there are strategies to make that happen. But a lot of people are out there posting and they're working towards the numbers. Now, unless you're going to become an influencer and you want brand deals, the numbers are really not going to matter as much as the quality of people that are seeing you, the right people seeing you in the right places. And here's what I'll tell you: as I help people build really premium businesses and bring in high-end clients, that clients that are like paying top dollar, as I help people do that, one of the things I tell them is don't look for a lot of engagement because you may not get it. And the reason for this is these are typically very busy people. They're people that are going to throw money at their problem. They're looking for the person that they believe they can trust and can do what they need done. And they are not sitting around on social media liking and loving and commenting on content. And so if you're looking for this to be the driver in your business, you're going to probably be disappointed unless you are targeting people that have all the time in the world, right? Or that's their business, that's sitting around online and engaging. So be very cautious about sort of the myths out there and what you maybe have been sold or told, and start looking at things more strategic and start thinking about, how much sense does this make? So one of the things that I tell my clients, again, helping them build a premium business to get top dollar clients, is I warn them about this, because maybe where they were getting a lot of engagement before with their content, and all of a sudden we level everything up in their business, they're maybe not getting as much engagement, but we're building their audience with these new people. And they said, well, I was getting this many people engaging on my content every day, and now I'm hardly getting anyone. And I said, well, for example, are these people coming into your ecosystem? Are they accepting your friend request? It's one of the audience builder things we do, right? People have to see you. You have to be visible to people. And they say, oh yeah, they're doing that. Well, that means your positioning is correct. But I asked them, how much was all that engagement that you were doing bringing you those really high-end clients? Well, it wasn't. But yet, when they get very little engagement sometimes, now you can look at views and you can see that a lot of people viewed, but maybe they didn't like it or they didn't comment. And so what really matters, I say to them, is, are people booking on your calendar? Are people reaching out to you in your inbox? Are people emailing your business, wanting to know about your services? Are people wanting to have conversations with you because they're impressed? Are you getting opportunities coming to you because people are impressed by what they see? So when you pull the right people into your ecosystem and they're impressed by what they see, you will start getting business. And so you start building this momentum. And when they say, yes, I just had somebody book on my calendar, I've never heard of them. Exactly. That's what happens. And I remind them that they probably booked on my calendar and I'd never heard of them either. So it's important, again, to understand the things that are underneath all of this stuff that is going on. But you do have to build your influence online because it's a missing piece for a lot of people. Even if you're running paid advertising, Google ads or YouTube ads or any kind of ads for that matter, maybe even print ads, people are still going to check you out online. They're not just going to take that ad's word for it, right? We're in a kind of a trust crisis. They're going to go and check you out and they're going to see, can I really trust this person? So if you don't have all of that built out online and you're not consistently building your strong brand with the right content strategy, with the right things that you're putting out there, well, then you, again, will end up missing out on this business and it won't drive your revenue. So when people tell me social media doesn't work, I instantly know that it does not, they don't have the right strategy in place. There's some kind of a gap or a missing piece there. So again, being known beats being best. Now, I want to just very quickly go through a quick structure that you can use in your business so that you can actually show up and explode your brand. And I call this a fast track. And in my workshops that I do, the Rockstar Expert, or my program, I can even help you fast track this in 90 days to explode your brand out there in the right way so you start getting traction. And there are lots of client testimonials around doing that. But I want to walk you through some of the steps. And I actually have these outlined in my book. So I'm just going to go through them with my book. The first thing is choose one core platform, the platform where your clients are the most. So when you get the foundational work in place, you have a cohesive, beautiful brand, your message is dialed in, what you want to be known for, you know who your market is. Now, where are they? You don't need to be everywhere to get started. You need to be where your market is. Once you do that, you want to start pulling them into your ecosystem, into your world. And then you want to start building the credibility, building up the value, and letting them see why you are the expert. Now, there are some moving parts to this. I mean, I've been doing this for a lot of years. I wish I would have known all of the things 15 years ago when I came into the online space that I know now and now help my clients with, because it would have just fast tracked my success. I knew playing at the top of my market in all of my other businesses was the best play. I knew that. I always built a brand. I always stood at the top of my market. Even today, with some of my businesses, I still have people years and years later from those businesses that say, I can't, I knew you from then and we knew about you then. And they still know that brand and they still know me for that. And so this is the importance of building first of all, a sustainable brand, but also building a powerful brand and powerful positioning. Okay, the second thing that I want to encourage you to do is start your own expert show. Build an expert platform so that there's so many ways to strategize this so that you actually can just show up over and over and over again as the credible expert you are. And it doesn't matter whether you're a CEO of your business or a company, or you are a personal brand, or you're a one-man show, a one-man entrepreneur. Build an expert, like start an expert show if you don't have one. And if you do have one and it's not working to really generate business for you, again, you've got some missing pieces. Feel free to book a call on my calendar and let's look at what's going on and let's see how we can work together to fix that for you. The third thing is repurpose like a pro. One of the things people do is they make everything so hard. Repurpose, repurpose, repurpose. Podcast, for example, is going to be repurposed in so many ways. It's going to get turned into a blog or an article. It's going to be clipped up and it's going to be posted in little clips. It's going to be put on multiple platforms. And this is what you should be doing with all of your great content. The third thing is show your face and share your point of view. If people can't see you, if they can't look into your eyes, if they can't hear your voice, look, you can get to know me watching me. If you're listening to my voice, you're listening to the audio on the podcast. Of course, you can't see me, but you can go out and find me on plenty of videos and plenty of guest podcasts and speaking on stages. You can go find me in a lot of different places, but there's nothing like video. We are influenced by people on video these days. And the whole AI thing, yeah. Are you sick of seeing AI videos all over the place? Like, okay, they're fun to watch, but I couldn't tell you whoever put those out. And a lot of the AI videos that, we sometimes get sucked into because they're entertaining are just that, they're entertaining. They don't necessarily turn into revenue. Now, maybe somebody is trying to build up their YouTube channel or they're getting paid with their Instagram reels. And then again, that's a whole different play. But I'm not speaking to those people. I'm speaking to the people that have real businesses that want to continue to grow and scale their business. And you can't be missing this piece in the market today. So don't be afraid to step up. I like to say, step into the expert spotlight. Show people who you really are. Show people what you're all about. I think about one of my clients that I'm working with, and she has an incredible firm. And she's been in business 30 something years. She's worked with really heavy hitters. She has, and yet people didn't even know that. And she actually became a client because I was speaking at an event and she came and talked to me and wanted to know, how can she work with me? How can she look as good on the outside as they are on the inside? And so that's what we're doing for her because she was missing all of that opportunity. She was even missing out on connections and she was out there networking and trying to do everything the hard way. She was even wasting a lot of money in marketing because she was running ads and it did not even make sense in her business. So understanding marketing is such a huge piece of making your marketing work. But also then how do you turn that into sales and referrals and all of those things that go along with business growth. All right, the next thing is have a clear call to action. Now, you notice if you want to check out my new book, you can go grab this on Amazon, right? But we also will put commercials inside of my podcast to go grab my digital magazine and I'll invite you to a workshop. Notice I even said, hey, if you have a problem here, you can always book a call with me, right? And so all of those links and everything are going to be included in the show notes of the podcast. Those are clear calls to action. Next, mix value with vibe. So what's your vibe? What's your vibe for your brand? What's your vibe for who you are? This is really important. You've been able to kind of see my vibe on here, especially if you're looking at the video, right? But I hope you can even hear it in my voice. I hope you can get a feel for who I am as a person and how I show up. You want this to come out in your content as well, and then give value. I've been teaching you and sharing with you how you can actually become like the rock star expert in your niche or in your market and really own your market. This is what we're talking about. When you play a bigger game than everyone else, and you're so recognizable and you almost have like celebrity or market fame, who do you think is going to win business? You are, right? You are. And it's time for you to finally step into that and start winning the business that you deserve. Finally, I just want to talk about consistent is more important than perfection. So look, when you are getting started, or even if you're just getting started on like this new strategic approach that I've talked about, don't worry about perfect. Look, I have videos out there that, oh, I just cringe. Some of my first ones, and even some of them that I'll go back and kind of listen to them. I'm always critiquing myself. And that's important because I want to keep getting better. So, yes, some of them are cringy. I'm not going to lie. I'm not always really super excited about some of the content that I put out or have put out, or maybe I didn't say something quite the way I wanted to say it. But look, I could sit there all day and try to perfect it, and it's not going to get done, and it's really not going to help me. So, being consistent is more important than perfect. I've really never had anyone reach out to me and say, Anne, that video just wasn't perfect. I mean, you didn't do this or you didn't do that. I've never had anyone do that that I can ever remember, I don't think. But I have had people say, you're so consistent. You show up everywhere. You look like you're everywhere. That's what we're talking about, right? Be known. I remember one day I was a guest on someone's podcast and he said, we have a celebrity in our midst today. And I kind of laughed about that. But in reality, that is really what I am working to build, to continue to build. And you should be too, because most of your competition, in fact, 99.9% of your competition won't. And guess what? That is your big opportunity to become more known so that when you are the best, you get paid, recognized, like the best, people see you as the best, and you win the business. So I hope you found this show valuable. Let me know. Make sure you subscribe to the show. I haven't done a solo show in a while, so it was really great to come back to you and do this with you. And I hope you really got a lot from it. I want to encourage you. Look, these things are non-negotiable in the market today. These things need to be done. Rise up in your market, influence your market, be the one your market wants to choose because you're known and you're also awesome at what you do. God bless you.